The message appeared on every screen across Earth. It showed a tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 eyes and a crown of bone. He spoke in perfect English. People of Earth, I am Emperor Voskalar of the Zenithian Galactic Empire. Your planets and colonies now belong to us. Your military forces are destroyed. You have 7 hours to surrender fully. If you refuse, we will turn your world to ash. The countdown begins now. The screens changed to show a timer. 7 hours. It started counting down, deep under the Rocky Mountains, in a bunker hidden from alien sensors. Admiral Catherine Morgan watched the message with cold eyes. People called her Kate to her face. Behind her back, they called her Baba Yaga, after the witch from old Earth stories who lived in a house with chicken legs and ate those who crossed her. Kate had earned the nickname. In 15 years of war against alien forces, she had never lost a major battle until now. She had a talent for killing enemies who thought they were safe. Her plans were always 3 steps ahead. But now, Earth's main fleets were gone. Their space stations burned. Only a handful of military bases remained. Kate turned to the 2 people in the command room with her. Options? Commander Alan Frost, a tall man with short gray hair and tired eyes, spoke first. We should surrender. We have no ships that can reach their command vessel. Their shields are too strong for our remaining weapons. If we fight, we all die. So we just give up? Asked Samantha Wells, head of intelligence. She was shorter than Kate, with brown skin and short black hair. Her eyes were red from crying, but her voice was steady. The Zenithians make slaves of everyone they conquer. Is that what you want for Earth? I want us to live, said Alan. Sometimes you can't win. Kate walked to the main console and pressed a button. A 3D map of Earth's orbit appeared, showing the positions of the Zenithian ships. The largest one, marked with a red crown symbol, sat at the center of the fleet. The Emperor himself is here, said Kate. That's unusual. In 20 years of conquests, he's never led an attack personally. He wants to witness our surrender himself, said Alan. They say he collects trophies from conquered worlds. Or he's afraid, said Kate. We've hurt them badly in this war. We've destroyed more of their ships than any other species they've encountered. Maybe he wants to be sure. She checked the timer on her wrist device. 6:53:42 remaining. Kate looked at the map again. She zoomed in on the Emperor's flagship, a massive vessel called the Eternal Dominion. It was protected by 50 battlecruisers. No Earth ship could get near it. But that wasn't her plan. Sam, is your team in position? Kate asked. Samantha's eyes widened. You can't be serious. That was a backup plan. A desperate last move we never thought we'd use. Are they in position? Kate asked again, her voice hard. Yes, Samantha said after a moment. Lieutenant Barnes and her team have been on the Eternal Dominion for 3 months, disguised as service workers. But the chance of success is less than 10%. And even if they succeed, the Zenithian command structure falls apart, Kate interrupted. Their empire has never lost a leader during war. They don't have clear succession plans. It will create chaos. Alan shook his head. Kate, this is madness. 4 people against an entire ship of elite guards? Against the Emperor himself? This is suicide. Kate turned to face her old friend. Remember New Mars colony? Everyone said those settlers were doomed when the Zenithians surrounded them, but we sent in just 2 squads through their sewage systems. We took out their command center and their whole attack fell apart. This is different, Alan argued. This is their Emperor on his personal flagship with his best guards. Which makes it the last thing they'll expect, Kate said. The Zenithians think they've won. They think we're broken. They won't be watching for an attack from within. She turned to the communications console and entered a series of codes. A secure channel opened. Firebird rising, Kate said clearly. Repeat, Firebird rising. There was a pause, then a woman's voice came through. Firebird acknowledges. We're moving. Now, Admiral. Kate looked at the countdown timer again. Lieutenant Barnes, you have the fate of humanity in your hands. Your target is the Emperor. Take him out and as many of his commanders as possible. Understood, Admiral, came the reply. We won't let you down. Kate sat in her command chair and took a deep breath. Now we wait. Samantha moved closer to Kate. If this works, what's the next step? We have hidden ships, Kate said quietly, so only Samantha could hear. Forces we kept in reserve, with weapons the Zenithians haven't seen yet. If the Emperor falls and their fleet falls into confusion, we strike back immediately. And if it fails? Samantha asked. Kate's face showed no emotion. Then humanity dies fighting, not on our knees. On a screen to her right, Kate could see news reports from around the world. People were panicking. Some were praying. Others were looting stores or hiding in shelters. Governments were arguing about whether to surrender. None of them knew about Kate's plan. None of them knew that humanity's last hope rested with 4 soldiers on an enemy ship. Kate checked the time again. 6:30, remaining. Lieutenant Barnes, give me updates when you can, but maintain your cover at all costs. Yes, Admiral, came the response. We're approaching Phase 1 now. Kate leaned back in her chair and closed her eyes for a moment. She thought about all the battles she had won, all the impossible situations she had escaped, all the times people had called her crazy, right before she proved them wrong. They called her Baba Yaga, because enemies who thought they were safe suddenly found her in their most secure places, bringing death. The Zenithians had given her 7 hours to surrender. She planned to kill their emperor in much less time than that. Alan, she said, opening her eyes, prepare our reserve forces. Tell them to be ready to move the moment I give the order. Kate, that's an order, Commander, Kate said firmly. Alan looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. Yes, Admiral. He moved to another console and began sending coded messages. On the main screen, the timer continued to count, down to 6:25:18, 6:25:17, 6:25:16. Kate watched it with steady eyes. The fate of Earth now rested on the shoulders of Lieutenant Olivia Barnes and her team, deep within the heart of the enemy flagship. The Zenithian Empire had never lost a war. They had conquered 17 species across 3 galactic arms. They thought humans would be the 18th. Kate Morgan intended to prove them wrong. Lieutenant Olivia Liv Barnes scrubbed the floor of the Eternal Dominion's service corridor with slow, careful movements. Her gray uniform marked her as just another human worker, one of hundreds captured during the war and forced to clean the Zenithian ships. The aliens saw humans as weak and stupid. They never looked twice at the cleaning staff. This was a mistake that would cost them everything. Liv's real rank was Lieutenant Commander. She was one of Earth's best Special Forces soldiers. For 3 months, she and her team had lived as servants aboard the Emperor's flagship. They cleaned toilets, they carried food, they emptied trash, all while mapping the ship, studying guard patterns, and waiting for the order they never truly expected to receive. Firebird Rising. When the code came through her hidden earpiece, Liv felt her heart skip. This was it. The desperate plan was actually happening. She pressed a small button on her cleaning tool. Firebird acknowledges. We're moving now, Admiral. Liv stood up and pushed her cleaning cart to a supply closet. Inside, she quickly removed a panel from the wall to reveal a small space filled with weapons and equipment. She took out a palm-sized device and checked the ship's layout one more time. Then she sent a signal to her team. 3 minutes later, Daniel Carter entered the supply closet. He was a large man with strong hands and a quiet voice. Before the war, he had been an engineer. Now he was the best explosives expert in Earth's forces. It's really happening? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Yes, said Liv. Get your gear. We move as soon as Patrick and Heather arrive. Daniel reached into the hidden compartment and began pulling out small devices that looked like metal discs. Each one contained enough explosive power to blow through the strongest Zenithian doors. The door opened again. Patrick Wade and Heather Grant slipped inside. Patrick was thin and tall, with quick eyes that missed nothing. Heather was short with strong arms and hands that could work magic with the smallest tools. Status? Liv asked. All systems normal, Patrick said. I've set up backdoors in 3 security subsystems. When we need them, I can trigger blackouts in selected areas. The biomimetic patches are ready, Heather added. She opened a small case to show skin-colored patches. Each one will copy Zenithian DNA for about 10 minutes. Enough time to fool a single security scanner. Liv nodded. Our target is the War Council chamber. According to the schedule Patrick accessed, the Emperor is meeting with his top generals in 30 minutes to plan Earth's destruction after the deadline. She pulled up a 3D map of the ship on her device. We'll take maintenance shaft C7 up to level 16. From there, we can access the service area above the council chamber. Daniel will place charges to breach the ceiling. We drop in, eliminate all targets, confirm the Emperor's death, and extract through emergency exit route 3. And if something goes wrong? Daniel asked. Then we move to plan B, Liv said. Cause as much damage as possible and take out as many high-ranking Zenithians as we can before we die. The team nodded. They had all accepted the likelihood of death when they volunteered for this mission. None of them had expected to survive 3 months on an enemy ship. Every day alive was already beyond their expectations. Gear up, Liv ordered. They quickly changed out of their service uniforms and into black combat suits hidden in the compartment. Each suit had pockets filled with weapons designed specifically to kill Zenithians. Humans had been fighting the aliens for years. They had learned that Zenithians had 3 major weaknesses. Their eyes were sensitive to certain frequencies of light. Their breathing filters could be overloaded by specific chemicals. And their telepathic connections to their security systems could be disrupted with the right electromagnetic pulse. Each team member carried weapons that exploited these weaknesses. Comms check, Liv said, activating her throat microphone. Carter, ready, Daniel said. Wait online, said Patrick. Grant good to go, Heather confirmed. Liv checked the time. 6 hours and 30 minutes remained before Earth's deadline. Move out, standard maintenance worker formation. They left the supply closet one by one, each pushing a cleaning cart loaded with hidden weapons. The corridors were busier than usual. Zenithian officers rushed past preparing for what they thought would be a historic day, the day humanity surrendered. None of them noticed the 4 humans in service uniforms. They reached a maintenance access point that looked like a normal wall panel. Patrick typed a code into his cleaning tool and the panel slid open. One by one, they entered the narrow shaft, pulling their equipment behind them. The maintenance shafts were tight, hot spaces designed for the smaller Zenithian worker caste. For humans, it was a cramped crawl. They moved slowly, careful not to make noise that might alert security sensors. After 15 minutes of climbing, they reached level 16. Patrick held up a hand, signaling everyone to stop. He took out a device the size of a coin and pressed it against the wall. The screen showed heat signatures on the other side. 2 guards, he whispered. Standing position, not patrolling. Liv nodded. This was expected. Heather. Heather moved forward with a small tube. She carefully sprayed a fine mist into the air vent that connected to the corridor. The colorless, odorless gas would cause no permanent harm to the Zenithians, but it would make them extremely drowsy for about 10 minutes. They waited 3 minutes, then Patrick checked the scanner again. Guards are down, sitting against the wall. Move, Liv ordered. Daniel opened the access panel and they slipped into the corridor. The 2 Zenithian guards sat on the floor, their 4 eyes blinking slowly as they fought to stay awake. Liv quickly injected each with a sedative that would keep them unconscious for hours. Drag them into the shaft, she ordered. Daniel and Patrick moved the guards while Liv and Heather kept watch. Once the guards were hidden, the team continued down the corridor to a secure door marked with Zenithian symbols for authorized personnel only. Heather took out her case of biomimetic patches. Who wants to be a commander today? Patrick stepped forward. Heather applied a patch to his hand, a thin film that temporarily copied the genetic pattern of a Zenithian commander they had sampled weeks earlier by collecting a discarded food container. Patrick placed his hand on the scanner beside the door. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the light turned green, and the door slid open. 10 minutes until this patch fails, Heather warned. hurried inside and found themselves in a small maintenance room directly above the War Council chamber. Through a ventilation grill in the floor, they could see the room below was still empty, but prepared for a meeting. A large table surrounded by 18 chairs dominated the space. The Emperor's throne sat at the head. "Positions," Liv whispered. Daniel began placing explosive charges around the ventilation grill, careful to make the pattern exact. Too much explosive would risk damaging the entire deck. Too little would fail to create an opening large enough for their assault. Patrick connected his device to a data port. "I'm in their security grid. I can trigger emergency protocols when we need them." Heather distributed small masks to each team member. "Oxygen for 15 minutes. The gas I'll release will make Zenithians disoriented, but won't affect us with these." Liv checked her weapons one last time. A pulse pistol designed to penetrate Zenithian armor, 3 flash grenades that would blind the aliens' sensitive eyes, and a vibroblade that could cut through their tough skin. "We have one shot at this," she told her team. "The moment we breach, I'll go for the Emperor. Daniel, you take the guards. Patrick, disable communications. Heather, release the gas and watch our backs. Confirm?" Each team member nodded. Below them, the doors to the War Council chamber opened. Zenithian officers began to enter, their blue skin gleaming under the lights, their elaborate uniforms showing their high rank. Each one wore a ceremonial blade, a symbol of their authority and a reminder of their warrior past. 8 generals, Patrick whispered, counting as they entered. 3 admirals, 4 planetary governors. Then a hush fell over the room as a taller figure entered. Emperor Voskalar wore golden armor that caught the light. His 4 eyes surveyed the room as he walked to his throne. Unlike the others, his skin was paler blue, almost white, the mark of the imperial bloodline. "All targets present," Liv whispered. "Prepare to—" An alarm suddenly blared throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the corridor outside their position. "What happened?" Liv demanded. Patrick checked his device. Security sweep detected anomalies in the guard rotation. "They know something's wrong." "Plan B?" asked Daniel, his hand hovering over the detonator. Liv thought quickly. The original plan was compromised. They could retreat, try to maintain their cover, and attempt another approach later. But Earth didn't have later. The deadline was counting down. This might be their only chance to reach the Emperor. "No," she decided. "We stick to the mission, but we accelerate. Patrick, trigger all the diversions now. Daniel, we're going in, hot." Patrick's fingers flew over his device. Throughout the ship, lights began to fail. Doors locked or opened randomly. Alarm systems triggered in distant sections. Daniel didn't wait for further orders. He pressed the detonator. The explosion was precise and focused. A perfect circle of the ceiling collapsed into the War Council chamber. Before the dust settled, Liv dropped through the opening, followed by her team. They landed in a room filled with confused Zenithians. The aliens were reaching for weapons, shouting orders, trying to understand what was happening. Heather immediately released a cloud of gas from a device on her belt. The white mist spread quickly through the room. Zenithian guards began coughing, their movement slowing. "Emperor!" Liv shouted, spotting the tall figure in golden armor. Voskalar was backing away toward a hidden exit behind his throne, surrounded by 3 bodyguards. "Protect the Emperor," a Zenithian general shouted, drawing his ceremonial blade. Liv raised her pulse pistol and fired twice. The first shot hit the general in the chest, sending him crashing into the table. The second missed as she was forced to dive behind a chair to avoid return fire. Around her, chaos erupted. Daniel had taken position near the main doors, using a Zenithian weapon he'd taken from a fallen guard to keep reinforcements from entering. Patrick was at the room's control panel, his fingers moving rapidly as he locked down communications and sealed the doors. Heather moved like a dancer through the confusion, placing small devices on fallen Zenithians. The devices delivered electric shocks that ensured the alien stayed down. 6 minutes and 16 seconds until the deadline. "Move to the Emperor," Liv ordered. She fired 3 more shots, each one finding a target. The Zenithian officers were brave. but they were not prepared for a direct assault in what they had thought was their most secure chamber. Daniel turned from the door and threw a flash grenade toward the Emperor's position. The device exploded, in a burst of light specifically calibrated to overload Zenithian vision. The bodyguards screamed, covering their eyes. Liv rushed forward, jumping over the large table. A Zenithian admiral swung his blade at her. She ducked under it and drove her vibroblade into his side. The admiral fell, blue blood pooling on the floor. "Liv, right side," Patrick warned. She spun just in time to see a Zenithian governor aiming a weapon at her. Before he could fire, Patrick shot him twice in the chest. 5 minutes and 43 seconds until the deadline. Emperor Voskalar had recovered from the flash grenade faster than his guards. He reached the hidden door behind his throne and pressed his hand to the scanner. The door began to open. "Emperor escaping," Liv shouted. Heather responded immediately. She threw a small device that attached itself to the doorframe. Electricity surged through the opening mechanism, freezing it half open. The Emperor turned, rage visible on his face. He drew his ceremonial blade, longer and more ornate than those of his officers. Unlike the others, he seemed unaffected by the gas. Later, Liv would learn that the Emperor wore personal filters that protected him from most toxins. "Human vermin," he hissed, his voice deep and resonant. "You dare attack me? I have conquered worlds you cannot imagine. I have broken species far stronger than yours." "Maybe," Liv replied, raising her pistol. "But they didn't have Baba Yaga on their side." She fired. The Emperor moved with surprising speed, his blade deflecting the energy pulse. The shot ricocheted and hit one of his remaining bodyguards. 4 minutes and 51 seconds until the deadline. The Emperor charged forward, his blade slicing through the air. Liv barely managed to dodge. She could feel the wind of the blades passing against her face. "Liv, down!" Daniel shouted. She dropped to the floor as Daniel fired over her head. The shot grazed the Emperor's shoulder, leaving a burn mark on his golden armor. Voskalar snarled in pain and anger. "Kill them all," he ordered. More Zenithian guards were trying to force their way through the main doors now. Daniel was using furniture to build a barricade, but it wouldn't hold for long. "Running out of time," Patrick warned as he joined Daniel at the barricade, firing at the guards trying to enter. Liv faced the Emperor again. He was bigger than her, stronger, and clearly had centuries of combat experience. But Liv had something the Emperor didn't understand: desperation. Earth's survival depended on this moment. 4 minutes and 20 seconds until the deadline. Voskalar attacked again, his blade moving in complex patterns. Liv dodged and weaved, but she couldn't get close enough to use her vibroblade. A cut appeared on her arm as the Emperor's blade found its mark. "Liv!" Heather shouted. She slid something across the floor. Liv grabbed it without looking. A small silver sphere. She immediately knew what it was: a neural disruptor. It would overload the Zenithian telepathic abilities for a few seconds. She activated it and threw it at the Emperor's feet. The device exploded in a wave of energy that had no effect on humans but caused Zenithians severe pain. The Emperor stumbled, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly as he tried to maintain his balance. Liv saw her chance. She charged forward, ducking under his wild swing. She drove her vibroblade up into the gap between his armor plates, aiming for the spot where Zenithian anatomy was most vulnerable. The Emperor gasped. His blade fell from his hand. He stared at Liv with all 4 eyes, disbelief clear on his face. "Impossible," he whispered. "From Baba Yaga, with love," Liv replied. She twisted the knife. The Emperor fell to his knees, then collapsed to the floor. 3 minutes and 44 seconds until the deadline. "Emperor, down!" Liv shouted. The effect on the remaining Zenithians was immediate. A collective cry of shock and dismay filled the room. Some officers tried to reach their fallen leader. Others simply froze in place, unable to process what they were seeing. "Confirm the kill," Liv ordered as she moved to help Daniel and Patrick with the barricade. Heather knelt beside the Emperor and pressed a device to his neck. It took a DNA sample and analyzed his life signs. "Confirmed," she said after a moment. "Emperor Voskalar is dead. Liv activated her communication device. "Witch's promise fulfilled," she said, sending the code that would tell Admiral Morgan that the mission was successful. 3 minutes and 20 seconds until the deadline. "Extraction plan?" Daniel asked, firing at the guards still trying to breach the barricade. "Emergency exit route 3, Liv replied. "Through the Emperor's private escape tunnel." She pointed to the half-open door behind the throne. "That has to lead to his personal shuttle bay. The schematic showed it on this level." "The door is damaged," Heather said. "I can't fix it." "We make our own door," Liv decided. "Daniel?" Daniel nodded. He took his last explosive charge from his pack and placed it on the wall next to the damaged door. "Everyone back!" The team retreated to the other side of the room as Daniel triggered the charge. The explosion tore a hole in the wall, revealing a narrow corridor beyond. "Move!" Liv ordered. They rushed through the opening, leaving behind the Xiao, bodies of the Emperor and most of his high command. The corridor led to a small shuttle bay just as Liv had predicted. A single sleek ship sat ready for use. "Patrick, can you fly this?" Liv asked. Patrick examined the controls. "Zenithian tech, but basic principles should be the same. I'll figure it out." 2 minutes and 45 seconds until the deadline. They boarded the shuttle. Patrick took the pilot's seat and began pressing buttons. The others secured the doors and prepared for departure. "They're coming through the corridor," Heather warned, watching a security monitor. "Get us out of here," Livy told Patrick. The shuttle's engines came to life. Patrick guided it toward the bay doors, which remained closed. "Problem," he said. "Need the Emperor's code to open the doors." "Ram them," Liv ordered. Patrick looked at her in surprise. "The shields might not." "Ram them," she repeated. "This is the Emperor's personal shuttle. It'll have the strongest shields on the ship." Patrick nodded and pushed the engines to full power. The shuttle shot forward, striking the bay doors with tremendous force. For a moment, it seemed they would be crushed. Then the doors buckled and gave way, torn from their mountings by the shuttle's reinforced hull. 1 minute and 56 seconds until the deadline. The shuttle burst into open space, alarms blaring as atmosphere vented from the damaged bay. Behind them, the Eternal Dominion's weapons systems were coming online, targeting the escaped shuttle. "Evasive maneuvers," Liv ordered. Patrick sent the shuttle into a wild spiral, narrowly avoiding the first volley of energy weapons. The Zenithian fleet was in chaos. Some ships were moving to protect the flagship. Others seemed frozen, waiting for orders that would never come. "Sending distress signal on Earth channels," Heather said. "Letting them know we're out here." 1 minute and 20 seconds until the deadline. Energy beams flashed past the shuttle. A glancing hit sent them spinning. Daniel was thrown against a wall, blood flowing from a cut on his forehead. "Shields at 40%, Patrick reported. "Keep moving," Liv said. "Help is coming." Behind them, something strange was happening. The Zenithian fleet was breaking formation. Some ships were moving away from Earth, while others seemed to be firing on each other. "Look," Heather said, pointing at the view screen. From behind Earth's moon, a dozen ships appeared. They were smaller than the Zenithian vessels, but moving quickly. Earth ships, hidden in reserve. "Admiral Morgan's surprise?" Liv said with a smile. "The witch always has another trick up her sleeve." The Earth vessels engaged the confused Zenithian fleet. More ships appeared from hiding places throughout the solar system. They targeted the Zenithian vessels with weapons the aliens had never seen before. Admiral Catherine Morgan stood in the command center of her hidden bunker. The large screen showed the chaos unfolding in Earth's orbit. The Zenithian fleet, once perfectly organized, was now scattered and confused. "Open a channel to all Zenithian ships," Kate ordered. "Make sure they can understand me." Samantha Wells nodded and pressed several buttons on her console. "Channel open, Admiral. You're broadcasting on all frequencies, with automatic translation." Kate took a deep breath and looked directly at the camera. Her face appeared on screens throughout the Zenithian fleet. "This is Admiral Catherine Morgan of Earth's Defense Forces. Your Emperor Voskalar is dead. Your High Command is dead. Your ultimatum has expired, but Earth has not surrendered. Instead, we have brought the fight to you." She paused to let her Words sink in. You came to our home with threats. You gave us 7 hours to submit to your rule. But you forgot one important fact about humans. We don't surrender. We adapt. We overcome. You have 1 hour to retreat beyond the Kuiper Belt. If any Zenithian ships remain in our solar system after that time, they will be destroyed. She nodded to Samantha, who cut the transmission. That should get their attention, Kate said quietly. Commander, Alan Frost approached her with a tablet showing the status of Earth's hidden fleet. Our ships are engaged with the enemy. The element of surprise is working in our favor, but they still outnumber us 5-1. Numbers aren't everything, Kate replied. Their command structure is in chaos. Half their ships don't know who to take orders from. The other half are too busy trying to figure out how the Emperor died to coordinate properly. On the main screen, they could see Zenithian vessels firing on each other, without the Emperor's telepathic control keeping them united. Old rivalries between Zenithian commanders were surfacing. Are Barnes and her team safe? Kate asked. Yes, Alan confirmed. Commander Frost picked them up. They're aboard the Nightingale heading back to Earth now. They should land in about 40 minutes. Kate nodded, relieved. She hadn't expected the team to survive. Their mission had been classified as beyond high risk. But they had done the impossible. Killed an emperor who had ruled for over 300 years. What's the status of our new weapons? Kate asked. Samantha checked another screen. The EMP cannons are performing better than expected. They're completely shutting down Zenithian shields. The phasing torpedoes are penetrating their hull armor. These weapons had been Earth's last resort, developed in secret and hidden from Zenithian spies. They exploited weaknesses in alien technology that humans had discovered during years of war. Deploy all reserves, Kate ordered. I want maximum pressure on their fleet. They need to believe retreat is their only option. What if they don't? Retreat? Alan asked. What if they decide to bombard Earth anyway as a final act of revenge? They won't, Kate said with confidence. Zenithians value hierarchy above all else. Without the Emperor to give the order, no commander will risk taking responsibility for destroying a planet. They'll retreat and wait for a new Emperor to be chosen before deciding what to do next. She had studied Zenithian culture and psychology for years. She understood how their minds worked, how their society functioned. That knowledge had allowed her to create a plan that seemed impossible, but addressed the aliens' specific weaknesses. 30 minutes after her broadcast, the first Zenithian ships began jumping to hyperspace. They disappeared from Earth's sensors, heading toward the outer edges of the solar system. It's working, Samantha said, excitement in her voice. 3 battlecruisers just left. 5 more are changing course toward the jump point. Kate watched the screen without showing emotion. She wouldn't celebrate yet. Too many Zenithian ships remained, including the Eternal Dominion, the Emperor's flagship. What about their command ship? She asked. Still in orbit, Alan reported. But it stopped firing on our vessels. Its shields are up, but it seems to be in a holding pattern. Kate frowned. The Eternal Dominion carried thousands of Zenithian soldiers and officers. If it remained near Earth, it would pose a significant threat. Target the Dominion, she ordered. I want all available ships to focus fire on it. 3 days after the Zenithian retreat, Admiral Catherine Morgan stood before the United Earth Council. The large chamber was filled with representatives from every nation, colony, and space station. Screens around the walls showed billions of people watching from around the world and throughout the solar system. Kate wore her formal uniform, with its simple blue color and silver rank insignia. She had never cared for medals or decorations, though today the council had insisted on pinning a new one to her chest, the Star of Earth, the highest honor they could bestow. Admiral Morgan, said Chairperson Elena Rodriguez, you stand before this council as the savior of our world. We would hear your report on the events that led to our unexpected victory. Kate stepped forward to the podium. The room fell silent. 3 days ago, she began, the Zenithian Empire gave Earth 7 hours to surrender unconditionally. Their fleet surrounded our planet. Their weapons were primed to reduce our world to ash. By all conventional military analysis, we had no chance of victory. She paused, looking at the faces watching her. But humans have never accepted impossible odds. Throughout our history, we have faced extinction many times, from nature, from our own weapons, and now from the stars. Each time we have survived through innovation, courage, and an unwillingness to submit. On the screens behind her, images appeared showing the battle in Earth's orbit. The Zenithian ships, massive and powerful, Earth's smaller vessels, emerging, from hiding to strike back. When the war with the Zenithians began 5 years ago, I established a program called Operation Firebird. Its purpose was to study Zenithian weaknesses and develop countermeasures that could be used in a worst-case scenario. As our conventional forces were defeated and our colonies fell, Operation Firebird continued its work in secret. Kate nodded to Samantha, who changed the display to show technical diagrams of the weapons Earth had developed. These weapons exploited 3 specific weaknesses in Zenithian technology and biology. Their optical sensors are vulnerable to specific light frequencies. Their telepathic connection to their technology can be disrupted with precise electromagnetic pulses, and their command structure is entirely dependent on a clear chain of authority. The council members leaned forward, fascinated by details that had been classified until now. 3 months ago, as our situation grew more desperate, I authorized the most dangerous phase of Operation Firebird. Lieutenant Olivia Barnes and a team of 3 specialists were inserted onto the Emperor's flagship disguised as captured service workers. Their mission was to eliminate Emperor Voskalar if all other options failed. Murmurs ran through the council chamber. Such infiltration tactics were considered dishonorable by many galactic societies, including the Zenithians. But Kate continued, without apology. When the Emperor issued his ultimatum, I activated Lieutenant Barnes's team. Against all expectations, they succeeded. They killed Emperor Voskalar and most of his high command in a direct assault on the War Council chamber. The resulting chaos in the Zenithian command structure allowed our hidden fleet to attack and drive them from our system. Kate's voice remained steady, but inside she felt a deep pride in what her soldiers had accomplished. Liv's team had performed a miracle. The Zenithian Empire has retreated beyond the Kuiper Belt. Our long-range sensors show their fleet regrouping near the heliopause. They are in disarray, with multiple commanders vying for control. This gives us a unique opportunity, time to prepare for their eventual return. The chamber was quiet now, the initial joy of victory giving way to the realization that this was only a reprieve, not a final peace. I stand before you today not to celebrate a complete victory, but to urge immediate action. The Zenithian Empire spans 3 galactic arms. They have conquered 17 other species. They have resources we can barely imagine. They will return, and when they do, they will seek revenge for their emperor's death. Kate pressed a button on the podium, changing the display to show plans for new defense systems, shipyards, and weapons platforms. These are my recommendations for Earth's defense. We need to triple our fleet size within 2 years. We need to establish hidden bases throughout the solar system. We need to develop more advanced weapons based on what we've learned about Zenithian vulnerabilities. Chairperson Rodriguez leaned forward. How much time do you believe we have, Admiral? Based on intelligence gathered from captured Zenithian data cores, their succession process typically takes between 2 and 5 years, Kate replied. During that time, various royal claimants fight for the throne, sometimes politically, sometimes literally. Until a new emperor is crowned, they will be focused inward, not on conquest. 5 years, Rodriguez repeated. Can we be ready in that time? We have to be, Kate said simply. The alternative is extinction. The council voted unanimously to approve Kate's defense plans and to promote her to the newly created rank of Grand Admiral, with authority over all Earth's military forces. As the formal session ended, Kate found herself surrounded by council, members offering congratulations and thanks. She excused herself as quickly as politeness allowed. She had never been comfortable with praise. In her mind, she had simply done her duty, found a way to keep humanity alive for another day. Outside the council chamber, Liv Barnes waited for her. The lieutenant looked better than she had 3 days ago, though her face still showed the strain of her mission. A bandage covered the cut on her arm where the Emperor's blade had found its mark. "Grand Admiral," Liev said with a small smile. "Congratulations on the promotion." "Thank you, Lieutenant," Kate replied, "though I suspect your team deserves promotions more than I do." They walked together down the corridor, away from the crowds and cameras. "How are your people?" Kate asked. "Recovering," Liev said. "Heather and Patrick are already talking about improvements to our infiltration technology. Daniel," she paused, her voice growing softer. "Daniel has nightmares. The ship's doctor says it's normal after what we went through. He'll recover in time." Kate nodded. The cost of war was never measured only in deaths. The survivors carried wounds that couldn't be seen. "Your team did the impossible," she said. "I want you to know that when I sent you on that mission, I never expected you to succeed. I never expected to see any of you again." Liev raised an eyebrow. "Then why send us at all?" "Because even a small chance was better than none," Kate replied honestly. "And because sometimes the impossible becomes possible when brave people refuse to accept defeat." They reached a large window overlooking the city. In the distance, construction crews were already at work rebuilding areas damaged during the war. Above in the clear blue sky, new defense satellites were being positioned. "Was it worth it?" Liev asked quietly. "They'll come back, won't they? With more ships, with a new emperor hungry for revenge." "Yes," Kate acknowledged. "They'll come back. But next time we'll be ready. And each time we survive, we grow stronger." She turned to face the younger woman. "The Zenithian Empire has existed for thousands of years because no one ever seriously challenged them. They conquered, they enslaved, they believed themselves invincible. You changed that, Liev. You showed the galaxy that the Zenithians can be defeated." "I just followed orders," Liev said. "Your orders, your plan." Kate shook her head. "My plan gave you an opportunity. Your courage made it work." They stood in silence for a moment, watching Earth rebuild itself. Then Kate's communicator beeped. She checked it and frowned. "Intelligence reports," she said. "We're detecting signals from beyond the heliopause. The Zenithian succession struggle has begun already. 3 different claimants to the throne are gathering support." "Sooner than you expected?" Liev asked. "Yes," Kate admitted. "But not surprising. Power abhors a vacuum." She pocketed the communicator and looked at Liev. "I'm forming a new division, Special Operations and Intelligence. Its purpose will be to gather information on potential threats and develop unconventional responses. I want you to lead it." Liev looked surprised. "Me? I'm just a lieutenant." "Not anymore," Kate said. "The council approved all my recommended promotions this morning. Congratulations, Colonel Barnes." Liev straightened her shoulders, understanding the responsibility being offered. "Thank you, Admiral. I won't let you down." "I know you won't," Kate said. "Report to headquarters tomorrow at 800. We have a lot of work to do." As Liev saluted and walked away, Kate remained by the window, thinking about the future. The Zenithians would return, perhaps sooner than she had told the council. But humans would be ready. They would adapt, as they always had. Her communicator beeped again. A different signal this time. She answered it. "Admiral Morgan," came Samantha's voice. "We're receiving a transmission from a ship approaching the outer system. They're not Zenithian." Kate frowned. "What species?" "Unknown," Samantha replied. "But they're requesting to speak with the one called Baba Yaga." A cold feeling settled in Kate's stomach. News traveled fast in the galaxy. Already other species had heard about what happened to the Zenithian Emperor. "I'll be right there," she said, already moving toward the exit. As she walked, Kate thought about the name that had followed her for years. Baba Yaga, the witch from old stories who lived in a walking house and was feared by all. She had never sought the name, never wanted a reputation for ruthlessness.